Hi, I am Dr. Smita Bonde with the learning episode of B.Pharm on the another fascinating unit of SOP for different dosage forms, which is a very significant unit of the section of dosage form design, 4th semester. Let's start our episode while taking a look at what we are going to learn today. Module 1, Introduction to SOP. Module 2, Purpose of SOP. Module 3, Benefits and types of SOP. Module 4, SOP development and format. Module 5, SOP of tablet and capsule manufacturing. Module 6, SOP of oral liquids manufacturing. Let's start with the introduction to SOPs. You know, the pharmaceutical industry is highly regulated industry. The regulatory bodies usually legislate for the two aspects of quality by some form of product registration or licensing to regulate quality of design, and secondly setting down their quality requirements for routine manufacture in the form of GMP regulations or guidelines. SOPs are tools to ensure that good manufacturing practices, that is GMP, are being followed whenever applicable. They contain the relevant information about any activity or procedure in the face of a challenging regulatory environment. Some leading pharmaceutical companies have found ways to improve quality and cut down cost significantly. Undoubtedly, these goals can be achieved by following certain sets of procedures called as standard operating procedures, that is SOP. Procedures are essential for any plant's effectiveness and efficiency. A typical pharmaceutical industry has an average of 1250 SOPs. A standard operating procedure is a set of written instructions that document a routine or repetitive activity which is followed by employees in an organization. The development and use of SOPs are an integral part of a successful quality system. It provides information to perform a job properly and consistently in order to achieve predetermined specification and quality end result. Module 2, Purpose of SOP. SOPs detail the regularly recurring work processes that are to be conducted or followed within an organization. They document the way activities are to be performed to facilitate consistent conformance to technical and quality system requirements and to support data quality. They may describe, for example, fundamental programmatic actions and technical actions such as analytical methods and processes for maintaining, calibrating and operating equipment. SOPs are intended to be specific to the organization or facility whose activities are described and assist that organization to maintain their quality control and quality assurance processes and ensure compliance with government regulations. SOP must contain step-by-step instructions that employee must refer in daily work to complete various tasks more reliably and consistently. SOP makes clear understanding about what is the objective of SOP, what are applicability and use of SOP, who will perform task, that is responsibility, and who will ensure implementation of procedure, that is who is accountable, then how task will be performed, that is the procedure. Procedures are not an end in themselves. They do not guarantee good performance or results. More important are well-designed systems and processes, qualified employees and motivating company culture. Module 3, benefits and types of SOP. Now, we will see what are the benefits of having SOP. It provides people with all the safety, health, environmental and operational information necessary to perform a job properly. Placing value only on production while ignoring safety, health and environment is costly in the long run. It is better to train employees in all aspects of doing a job than to face accidents, fines and litigation later. It ensures that production operations are performed consistently to maintain quality control of processes and products. Consumers, from individuals to companies, want products of consistent quality and specifications. SOPs specify job steps that help standardize products and therefore quality. It ensures that processes continue uninterrupted and are completed on a prescribed schedule. By following SOPs, you help ensure against process shutdowns caused by equipment failure or other facility damage. It ensures that no failures occur in manufacturing and other processes that would harm anyone in the surrounding community. Following health and environmental steps in SOPs ensure against spills and emissions that threaten plant neighbors and create community outrage. SOP also ensures that approved procedures are followed in compliance with company and government regulations. It serves as training document for teaching users about the process for which the SOP was written. Thorough SOPs can be used as the basis for providing standardized training for employees who are new to a particular job and for those who need retraining. It serves as a checklist for co-workers who observe job performance to reinforce proper performance. The process of actively caring about fellow workers involves one worker coaching another in all aspects of proper job performance. When the proper procedures are outlined in a good SOP, any co-worker can coach another to help improve work skills. It also serves as a checklist for auditors. Auditing job performance is a process similar to observation mentioned in the previous item, only it usually involves record keeping. SOPs should serve as a strong basis when detailed audit checklists are developed. It serves as a historical record of the how, why and when of steps in an existing process, so there is a factual basis for revising those steps when a process or equipment are changed. As people move from job to job within and between companies, unwritten knowledge and skills disappear from the workplace. Properly maintained written SOPs can chronicle the best knowledge that can serve new workers when older ones move on. It serves as an explanation of steps in a process so they can be reviewed in accident investigations or in case of out of specifications. SOPs help to trace out the mistakes while carrying out the root cause analysis of any unfortunate happenings. Ultimately, the benefits of valid SOP are reduced work effort along with improved data comparability, credibility and legal defensibility. Types of SOPs. SOPs may be written for any repetitive technical activity as well as for any administrative procedure that is being followed within an organization. So, first type is the technical SOPs. Technical SOPs can be written for a wide variety of activities. Examples are SOPs instructing the user how to perform a specific analytical method to be followed in the laboratory or how to collect a sample in order to preserve the sample integrity and representativeness of the area of concern, such as collection of samples for future analysis of volatile organic compounds or trace metals, or how to operate a fluid bed dryer. Technical SOPs are also needed to cover activities such as data processing and evaluation, including verification and validation, modeling, risk assessment and auditing of equipment operation. Administrative SOPs. As with the technical SOPs, administrative SOPs can be written for a wide variety of activities. Example, reviewing documentation such as contracts, QA project plans and quality management plans, inspecting the work of others, determining organizational training needs, developing information on records, maintenance, validating data packages or describing office correspondence procedures. Administrative SOPs need to include a number of specific steps aimed at initiating the activity, coordinating the activity and recording and or reporting the results of the activity tailored to the activity. For example, audit or assessment, SOPs should specify the authority for the assessment, how auditees are to be selected, what will be done with the results and who is responsible for corrective action. For the sake of your understanding, take another example as product recall SOP. In this, a system must be in place to promptly and effectively recall products known or suspected to be defective. Dear friends, up till now you have gained a fair idea about what is SOP, what is its purpose, benefits and types. If you have missed out any of the module or content, you may log on to our website www.cc.nic.in to download videos, FAQs, LOR and other contents, so that you can stay updated with this chapter. Now let's move ahead to our next module, that is about SOP development and format. Module 4, SOP development and format. Now we are going to learn how the SOPs are developed. First we will consider writing style. SOPs should be written in a concise, step-by-step, easy-to-read format. The information presented should be unambiguous and not overly complicated. The active voice and present verb tense should be used. The term you should not be used, but implied. The document should not be wordy, redundant or overly lengthy. Now we will see SOP preparation. The organization should have a procedure in place for determining what procedures or processes need to be documented. Those SOPs should then be written by individual knowledgeable with the activity and the organization's internal structure. These individuals are essentially subject matter experts who actually perform the work or use the process. A team approach can be followed, especially for multitask processes where the experience of a number of individuals are critical, which also promotes buy-in from potential users of the SOP. SOPs should be written with sufficient detail so that someone with limited experience with or knowledge of the procedure but with a basic understanding can successfully reproduce the procedure when unsupervised. The experience requirement for performing an activity should be noted in the section on personal qualifications. For example, if a basic chemistry or biological course experience or additional training is required, that requirement should be indicated. Ideally, SOPs should be written by teams that include some or all of the following people, like those who will perform the job, those who will perform maintenance on equipment involved in an SOP, engineers or others who design equipment and processes, technical, initiator, safety personnel, environmental personnel, and equipment manufacturers. Team writing accomplishes several goals besides just producing an SOP, like it ensures that comprehensive knowledge acquired from different perspectives is applied to the SOP. It creates buy-in, which increases the likelihood that the SOP will be implemented under the guidance of the initiator. It trains trainers, the people who write the SOP, having participated in depth decision making about the SOP. Initiators know it intimately and are more likely to be effective trainers. It involves people from diverse parts of the operations as a whole, which helps ensure that when new and modified processes are implemented, someone goes back and updates the SOP. It encourages employees to follow the SOP and listen to the coaches, because the employees know that the initiator invested time and effort on behalf of the employees. Writing in teams do not have to sit together to write. They can write or edit parts of the SOP independently, and then one person can combine the individual contributions. Once combined, circulate the draft SOP for review among the initiator before editing a final draft for review by supervisors and subsequent supervised testing by employees. Ideally, a writing team should meet at least once in the beginning of a project to establish writing objectives, targets and responsibilities, but then can work semi-independently with one person serving as coordinator. Most importantly, SOPs should be reviewed by several people qualified to evaluate the SOP in terms of the completeness and clarity of subject matter. Now, I will tell you 11 important points to keep in mind while writing standard operating procedures. How much someone knows about an entire process or job affects the way he or she does that job, and therefore consider the traditional how to operate or how to do steps. This teaches the person comprehensively so that he or she has a complete picture of the responsibilities for doing a job properly. Write an SOP to be as long as necessary for a specific job. Write an SOP to satisfy the definition of SOP, not a standard company format that no one has thought about in years. People tend to ignore long SOPs because they cannot remember more than 6 to 12 steps. If your SOP goes beyond 10 steps, consider breaking the long SOP into several logical sub-job SOPs. Writing sub-job SOPs first and then trying to put them together may leave out linkage steps that make sub-jobs interdependent. Write SOPs for people who perform under different interpersonal circumstances. For example, write some SOPs for people who work alone. Write some SOPs for 2 or more people who work together as a team. Write some SOPs for people who will supervise other people doing a job. Write some SOPs for people who not familiar with rules generally understood by your employees. For example, you may write for contractors, vendors or suppliers. Consider the work culture within which people work. If you write for people in a culture in which shortcuts are accepted practice, explain the reasons behind certain steps so that SOP users will understand the importance of following all these steps in the proper order. Consider the age, education, knowledge, skill, experience and training and work culture of the individuals who will be performing the SOP steps. Keep in mind that many people do not read all these steps before starting on step 1. Many people read one step, perform it, read the next step and perform it, and so on. To try to get around this habit, forecast future effects and steps at certain points in the SOP to tell reader things they should know in advance, such as upcoming steps that require caution precision, timing, assistance and personal protective equipment. Once you have completed writing an SOP, have several workers test it and give you feedback. Review the effectiveness of SOPs after a few weeks and make necessary changes if in the field practice suggests that description should be improved. Review SOPs when processes and equipment are changed. SOP review and approval. SOPs should be reviewed, that is validated by one or more individuals with appropriate training and experience with the process. It is especially helpful if the draft SOPs are actually tested by an individual other than the original writer before the SOPs are finalized. The finalized SOPs should be approved as described in the organization's quality management plan. Generally, the immediate supervisor such as a section or branch chief and the organization's quality assurance officer review and approve each SOP. Signature approval indicates that a SOP has been both reviewed and approved by management. SOP format. Now let us study what is format of SOP. SOPs should be organized to ensure ease and efficiency in use and to be specific to the organization which develops it. The sample SOP format is shown on the screen. It consists of a company name and address to which this SOP applies. Page number, title of SOP that clearly identifies the activity or procedure. SOP identification number, revision number, review period, signatures and signature dates of those individuals who prepared, reviewed and approved the SOP. Electronic signatures are acceptable for SOPs maintained on a computerized database. Then the objective is specified clearly, followed by scope, responsibility and procedure. As discussed before, SOP should be clearly worded so as to be readily understandable by a person knowledgeable with the general concept of the procedure, and the procedures should be written in a format that clearly describes the steps in order. Use of diagrams and flow charts help to break up long sections of text and to briefly summarize a series of steps for the reader. Module 5, SOP of tablet and capsule manufacturing. To lay down the procedure for manufacturing of tablets and capsules. Scope. This SOP shall be applicable for tablet capsule manufacturing in production department. Responsibility. The responsibility is of two persons, execution responsibility is of the operator and checking responsibility is of the production pharmacist and above. Accountability. HOD production or assigned designee. Procedure. Now we will see the procedure for tablet and capsule manufacturing. In that first step is planning. The activities in manufacturing department should be planned according to the production schedule by production executive or production manager for the respective month and specifically for the respective week. Next step is obtaining the batch document. According to plan, production person shall generate process order number of respective products and obtain the batch number and batch documents from the QA department. For this, a request is to be raised to QA department mentioning the product name and process order number as required. After the generation of the batch documents by QA department, production department should receive it from QA department duly signed by QA officer. The production person should also sign while receiving the document after checking the pages, issue number, batch details, etc. Requisition to the stores. The raw material requisition or bill of material should be raised preferably in advance to issue of raw materials for respective batches. The store person should make necessary arrangements for the dispensing accordingly. After that, issue of raw materials to manufacturing department. The store's officer production officer along with QA chemist if required should weigh the raw material as per the standard operating procedure for dispensing. After weighing, the raw materials will be stored in suitable container in day store till taken for production. The duly filled requisition or bill of material BMR will remain along with the dispensed raw materials. After that, next step is receipt of dispensed material by manufacturing department. Before taking the material into area, the production person shall ensure that the cleanliness of the equipments and the area and get the line clearance from QA person. Then take the raw material into the respective manufacturing area and all the weighed material will be checked against the requisition with the calibrated balance. Also, the other details on dispensing label like product name, material name, batch number, lot number, etc. will be checked. After that, assigning manufacturing date and expiry date. The manufacturing date should be assigned as per the date of dispensing the material. The expiry date should be assigned as per the shelf life mentioned in BMR or considering the expiry date of active raw material. Next step is processing. The material should be processed strictly as per BMR. The operators should wear protective accessories like gloves, masks, muffs, earplugs, goggles, etc. while processing as per the requirements. Each equipment should have status label with signature of pharmacist. Operators and pharmacists should check the area and equipment's cleanliness before starting the manufacturing operations. Environmental conditions like temperature, relative humidity should be maintained within the limits specified in the respective BMR. Pharmacists should ensure that sieves and screens are intact before and after the processing. When any new sieve is received, the mesh size is checked against the sieve number punched on the edges of the sieve. Pharmacists should personally monitor all the critical operations like dry mixing, addition of binder, wet mixing, drying inlet and outlet temperature, mixing time during lubrication, machine setting, in-process parameters, etc. The material ready for further processing should be immediately weighed and labeled accordingly, and the weight should be recorded in the batch document. All entries in the BMR should be done immediately. In-process goods should be stored only in area provided. Standard operating and cleaning procedure should be strictly followed. Any adverse incidents, spillage or deviation observed should be immediately informed to the supervisors. All the safety instructions should be strictly followed. Module 6 SOP of oral liquids manufacturing. SOP of oral liquids is same as that of tablets and capsules except for 7 point in the processing, that is, in SOP of oral liquids, pharmacist should personally monitor all the critical operations like liquid mixing, addition of ingredients, speed of rotation, temperature, mixing time, machine setting, filtration, in-process parameters like pH, color, etc. Conclusion. So, here we have studied that SOPs serve as a fundamental means of communication for all levels of the organization. Not only do they involve employees departmentally, but they also allow management and employees to gain a cross-functional view of the organization. A good system forces employee to think through processes and examine how procedure might affect product, personnel, production and equipment. With all this information, here we come to the end of today's lecture. Do keep in mind what we have discussed today. It's time for you all to do some self-study. This is Smita Bonde signing off. If you want to learn more and enhance your knowledge, you may log on to our website for MCQ, quizzes, LORs at www.cec.nic.in. Till then, keep studying. Goodbye.